Good afternoon. Um, if you're online, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. All right, go ahead and turn off your phones, please, so that we focus on the class. I know many of you have done the homework, so that's a really good sign. So the first two classes we had, of course, the first was the reading. Then I met with the parents. Then we had the math, uh, English. Then we had the long weekend, and we're back here for the third class. This is where I say things really go in full gear. Okay, it really does. Every Sunday we meet till Thanksgiving, so it's not there's no breaks anymore. So you got to be at your best going forward. You got to be doing all your work like the homework you guys been doing. Main thing is you just have to be super attentive in the class as well. All right. Some housekeeping items. The first thing is, actually, I'm gonna write down this here. Some housekeeping items. Okay. So the first thing is, have you registered for the October ACT test? So that's the first question. Second is, if you're doing the December ACT review, you need to ask your parents to text me this. This needs to be done ASAP. These are independent things you can do without bothering much. Okay, so I would take care of that right away. And I expect, especially from this group, all of you be doing the December ACT review. This is extremely important for you guys. So somebody was asking me about the homework. So I just wanted to make sure that we are done with 2 weeks. So you have done week 1 and week 2. This is the week 3 homework. Okay. So next week would be week 3 homework will be. Oops. Week 3 homework will be due. That's due next Sunday. So just want to make sure that you have the clarity. All right. We're going to get started today with ACT Science. And I'm going to repeat this again. It is extremely important for you guys to ask questions because when you have a conversation, things come up. In the ACT Science, it used to be 7 passages. It's now 6 passages, 35 minutes, 40 questions. So you have 52.5 seconds per question, just like reading. So you have 6 passages. So you have questions 5, 6, or 7 questions per passage. This is the last section of the test. This is the last section of the test. You will be very tired. You'll be very tired before you start the science, when you get to the science test, because you have already spent almost 3 hours of testing in the room. Basically, you've spent such a long time, and this has been a big concern for us. And I have thought some ideas I want to share with you guys, but this time I'm not going to give it as an option. I'm going to make it mandatory. Okay, so there will be some shift in the strategy because during the pandemic, I'm seeing that what should I say? That students should have become a little lethargic. They are not used to the long testing, and it's showing in the real ACT test. I have a student, see her scores 36 in English, 35 in math, 35 in reading, 24 in science. She told me that she just gave up. That's how tired she was. And I know a couple of the students who are taking this class again, or basically who are gone from the regular to advanced, they have talked to me about science. And so we're going to be talking a lot more about this today. So what does it take for science to do well in science? Two things: focus and practice. So this is focus during the test. This is practice before the test. And when we talk about practice, one thing we're going to clearly indicate starting this time is we're talking about taking a full test, not a section test. This has been our concern. So when students practice science test, they do only the science test when they're fresh, when they're ready to go. But to get the real impact of this, you actually have to take the full test and get to this point and see what happens. And I have to say, the red book we're going to use today, this book does an excellent job of the science test. The people who wrote this book used to work for ACT. They used to write the science test before. So they know what they're doing, and I really like that. So, I repeat, focus before the test, practice, focus during the test, practice before the test. And when I talk about practice, you talk about full practice, full test. I anticipate, or I should not anticipate, I expect you guys to have done at least 5 full practice tests before the December test. I anticipate at least 5 before the December test, at least 3 for the October test. Trust me, I know you guys are busy, okay? All right. Next. So let's talk about ACT Math and ACT Science. In ACT Math, from question number 1 to question number 60, the difficulty level linearly increases like this. Okay, so if I draw a best fit line, it usually increases like this, with 1 being the easiest, the first 20 are the easiest, then the 21 to 40 are the middle, so easy, middle, hard, or difficult. Very easy to make a prediction. So I would start the test from here. But in science, unfortunately, that's not the case. Passage 1 to passage 6. We may have a situation where passage 1 may be easy, passage 2 may be very hard, 3 may be a little bit easy, 4 is much easier, 5 is very hard, and 6 is maybe medium. That's one variation. The other variation is passage 1 may be very hard, passage 2 may be easy, 3 may be easy, 4 may be easy, but 5 and 6 can shoot up again. So depending on the test, you may have a significant variation of difficulty level in the science testing. So in this particular scenario, if you happen to get a very hard science test, first passage I mean, and if you Start with that. You are gonna consume all your energy, you're gonna consume your time, and then you feel like giving up because the time is very less. So, the strategy is what we're gonna talk today. We have done this for a long, long time, and it seemed to have done wonders for our students. The reason being is we have identified a strategy that seems to work for majority of the students. So to avoid this particular situation where the passage one would be a difficult one, or you don't want to do a difficult passage to begin with, what strategies should we be using to pick the easy ones first? And there are 6 passages. Okay? So here are the strategies we're going to be using. First, in the first 45 seconds, we're going to scan all 6 passages, looking for least reading, maximum number of tables and pictures, maximum graphs and pictures, and least number of tables. You're gonna look for this criteria, and then the discussion type has to be done last. This is also called conflicting view passages. I'm going to repeat this. So when the test starts, you literally are flipping the pages, okay? You don't have much time. Approximately for 45 seconds, you're going to scan all 6 passages, literally flipping the pages like this. Okay? Everybody, our students will do that. Okay? So what's the goal from this? By doing this, we are gonna select the first 2 passages to work on. The goal is to select the first 2 passages. You're looking for least reading. More reading you have to do, more time consuming it is. Second, graphs and pictures are a pictorial representation. You can get to the answer quick. So you want more of these. You want less tables. Tables can be deceptive. And in tables, there are different types. So one of the ways to classify tables is a data table or a word table. So a table which has data, numbers, and the tables that has words and phrases. The other way around to classify them is size. Small tables and large tables. You want to pick small data tables. That's what is preferred. you're going to hear this from me many times today. All the strategies we're going to talk would only make sense if you do this. Sounds good? Otherwise, again, you'll be so tired, the strategies won't make any difference. This is a golden rule to remember for if you want to do well in science. So, you don't want tables, you want less of those, but if you have to pick those amongst those passages, you want data small tables. 2 small tables are better than 1 large table. So size really matters here. Large tables can be convoluted, okay, and can be very confusing. So you want to pick small data tables. And this is called the discussion type, also called conflicting views passage or viewpoint passage. In the conflicting view passage, there is no graphs, there is no tables, there is no pictures. It's 2 scientists discussing with each other, and their views are conflicting view passage. So this resembles a reading passage. This is almost like a reading passage, and this is the most time consuming. This is the one you want to do last. This is the one you want to do last. Another thing I want to share with you guys, you've got to be very careful here. The strategies we talk, either you want to use this completely or you use whatever methods you are comfortable with, okay? The last thing I want is for you to pick and choose the rules and strategies. Then it'll be a horrible cocktail, okay? So you either do everything what we say and practice that way, or do whatever you're comfortable with. 98% of our students have done this. There's 2 or 3%, I would say, who have used their own strategies, which we are completely okay with it. But what I'm not okay with it is to pick here and there and just mix it together, okay? So we don't want to do that. Now I'm gonna give you guys 5 minutes time to review the whole thing and see if you have any questions. And I expect you guys to ask questions. As I said, we have a lot of students who have gone through our program. I can share stories after stories of what has happened. So, but you have to ask. Take 5 minutes. And you got to know this in and out, these strategies. Simple, but powerful.
Would you say to make like a list of all 6 passages immediately, or like find the easiest 2 and then the next easiest and then the next easiest, like as you go on?
What I would do is to first pick 2 passages, select the 2 passages, maybe passage 2 and 4, or 1 and 7, 1 and 6, whatever it is. But that 1 and 6 and 6 and 1, that order is going to be extremely important. So make sure you pick the right order. Then we're going to do those questions of the passages. So complete those 2 passages. And then you select the next 2 passages using the same criteria. So you're going to go 2, 2, 2. So the selection of passages will be in the 2, 2, 2 order. After 2, you want to finish the questions, then go to the next 2. Now, another important point, that's why when you ask questions, things lead to many discussions. Few times it has happened where, let's say you select these 2 passages and you get to the questions and you see the questions are pretty hard. At that time, you want to skip that passage completely and move to the next one, okay? Do not waste your time pondering, did I not select the right passage? You do not know that because you're not reading the questions here, okay? You're looking at the physicality of the passage and making a decision. You look at it as oh, okay, this looks, based on this criteria, I'm going to do this first, second, or third, whatever it is. You with me on this? So you're looking at the physicality of the passage to make the decision. So you have no clue what the passage is about. You have no clue what the questions are. You with me on this? So, but I can tell you based on the experience over the years, this seems to be working, I would say 19 out of 20 times. 95% of the times it works. I can tell you two times it has not worked because the questions were hard, passages look easy. It has happened. It can happen. Nothing is perfect. But you live life on a probabilities, right? It's, you live on life on probabilities. You work on what is the best chance of me getting a higher score. Okay? That's what we use. Yeah, John Paul.
What is your order of importance of like?
We'll talk.
We'll talk about that. Okay.
Yeah. And that's a big topic of discussion.
Okay.
So John Paul's question was, is this the priority, or is this the priority, or is this the priority? So let's get to that right away, okay? Good question, by the way. So let me tell you what type of questions I've received in the past. So let's say I have a passage with less reading, okay? But it has more tables compared to another passage where you have more reading but less tables. Okay? So what happens when you have different combinations of this? I write this, but you may find it funny. It actually is important. You got to use common sense at that time. So a common sense would be the way to go at the time. You have to make a macro decision at the time, a global judgment at the time. You with me on this? There's no right or wrong answers here. And when you do this, there's nobody else you can compare with, okay? You're only making the decision based on what you think at that moment is the right choice. But we will practice enough passages here that you actually will be 80% of the times correct. 80%. And that's pretty high. Especially the first three are going to be very crucial. So you may have issues with the last three because they may be close to each other. But the first three, if you make a decision wrong, it may create a situation where you won't be able to complete the test on time. So the reason we are trying to do this is to do two things. Do the easy questions first, complete the test on time, called time management. So I'll give you a great example of October 2013 test. I know it's been a while, I understand that. They had 7 passages at the time. Again, asking questions lead to one discussion leads to another. This is why the whole hour is dedicated to science. And I want to give myself a lot of time to answer your questions. That's why it's very important for you to ask questions. So in October 2013, listen to this very carefully. Passage 1, 2, 3 were extremely hard. 4, 5, 6, 7 were extremely easy. So what happened? Students who did 1 to 7 could not even get to passage number 7. They were running out of time. But people who did our strategies, which many of our students did this, they ended up not only finishing the test on time, their scores were extremely high. And we talk about the grading aspect of today as well, by the way. So what happens here is, so this gives you the confidence leading to the tougher passages. And eventually, if you have to guess on anything, I would rather guess on tougher passages and tougher questions than an easier passage and an easier question, right? So when I designed these strategies years back, almost 14 years back or 13 years back, I thought myself as a student, when I took the test, how did it feel to me? What are the mistakes students do? Math, there's no brainer. That's why I drew this graph. Starts from 1, goes to 60. Yeah, there is going to be some bumps here and there. Science is all over the place. It depends on the test. So one time we saw, I think it was recent test, I would say summer 2020 or 2021, I'm not remembering right now. Our students did 1 through 6 in that order because that's the order they got. That's good. But what happens if the order is flipped, right? The one you would have done first should have been done last. And that's where you spin into a big black hole, where you really get trapped. You sap your energy, you sap your time, and your confidence is so low that you start making silly mistake. You know, one of the things you start doing at the time, you start reading. So one of the things you start reading is rereading the question and the passage. You start doing that. So this is a big mistake that's going to happen. So you got to avoid this. You got to avoid this. And we'll get to these things later on. I'm just talking about the selection of the passage. We have not even got to the questions yet. Anything else? Any other questions? Anybody else?
So when you say we're going to take 3 full ACTs, do you want us to do that on our own and just time ourselves?
Yes.
Or is that going to be like, so we're just doing it on our own?
So if you see the homework assignment sheet, does anybody have it handy? The homework assignment sheet?
I can get it up.
Yeah, okay, get it up. And I'll tell you how many full practice tests is a part of your homework. I believe it's 2, but we'll see. I'm not remembering right now.
It says 3.
3, okay, okay. So it used to be 2. We changed some strategies after all these things. So that itself will give it full 3 practice tests. But again, best of our best students who have scored 36s, 35s, they're averaging around 8. Okay, I'm talking about this is the bare minimum. Okay, 3 and 5 are the minimums, not the maximums. Good. Anything else? You got to be pretty desperate when you in these tests. You got to show your desperation. If you have a laissez-faire attitude, like, yeah, what's a big deal? I can take it again. That's where you're gonna spin yourself into big trouble. So, I've been doing this for a long time, and I'm gonna tell this again and again. There is a big discussion out that the ACT is not important. That scores are not important. Let me tell you something which you might actually. Actually, I have a student in the other room right now. His brother took our class. He was in this advanced class. So he took the class. He scored well. And when he applied for scholarship, only few students got the scholarship. Many did not even get it, only because when you don't have the ACT score, you're automatically removing yourself from scholarship. Yes, for admissions, they may not use it, may or may not use it. But for scholarship, they will use it. And if you have a 0 there, you're removing you out of contention like this. Don't do that mistake. So if you study well, if you practice well, you'll be in for a surprise how much money you can get. And a good score, of course. Go to open this book, please. Page 78. Page 78. All right. First thing first. On page 78, there is directions. I would like you to read the directions and underline one word that is important for you. Okay? One word. I want you to highlight that. Go ahead and read the directions. So few people can answer. What is the word did you pick?
I picked the word best, which is like the best answer.
Oh, Garrett. Okay. John Paul?
Yeah, same. I picked the best as well.
Okay. You picked best? Actually, I'm glad to hear that. The best is the best word you picked. Because in ACT science, unlike math, there is 4 answer choices. Out of the 4, you have to pick the best out of the 4. Doesn't mean it's correct. Sometimes at least. You with me? And you'll be surprised how many times you're like, none of these make sense. Out of the 4, which makes the most sense is the right answer, the best answer. Do not forget that. Next question. Is the best answer according to you or best answer according to the author who wrote the passage? Yeah.
The author who wrote the passage.
So write down. So you're looking for the best answer per the author. So you're looking for the best answer, what the author thinks, not what you think. So you gotta think like an author, which is the hard thing to do, okay? It's very hard to put yourself in somebody else's mind, but that's where the complexity happens in science. All right? Okay, next. Now you have 6 passages in front of you guys. It's a test, okay? I'm gonna give you guys, well, this is the first time, so I'm gonna give you 60 seconds, okay? You have to pick only 2 in the order you would do. Again, I repeat, 1-6 and 6-1 are not same. You wanna be as correct, as close as possible. Sounds good? So I'm going to give you 60 seconds to select the best 2 you would do based on this criteria. Go. Time's up. All right. I want each and every student to answer this, by the way. Okay? So I want to start with the online students. Soren, I'm just going to go in that order I have on the screen here. And
I picked number 1 and number 5.
Next, Garrett.
I picked 2 and 1.
Tom. Nathan.
I picked 1 and 3.
Tessa.
I picked 1 and 4.
Christian.
1 and 2.
Kabir.
I picked 5 and 4.
Anaika.
1 and 3.
Purv.
1 and 2.
1 and 3.
1 and 4.
Cam. Oh, now you can see we're all over the place, right? That's how it starts. Funny thing is that's nothing surprises to me. So let's see. All right. I would do 1-5 or 5-1. Most likely 5-1. Did anybody had 1-5 or 5-1?
I did.
Okay. Well, again, there's no right wrong answer here, but let me explain my reason. One has a little reading to do and a histogram, so it's pretty good. 5 has 3 simple graphs and hardly anything to read. Okay? Graphs are important. Now, people who picked especially 3 and 6, I have a little concern with those. Okay? Because 3 has quite a bit of reading to do compared to other things. Okay? Compared to other things. Okay. Now, just for our consistency purpose, okay? Just for our consistency purpose, on page 78, please write down 5-1. Not that I'm correct or anything like that. I'm just wanting everybody to be on the same page. 5-1. Sounds good? Okay. Now I'm gonna give you guys 25 seconds to select the next 2. Go. 25 seconds. Time's up. Somebody tell me what they selected. You, John Paul.
4-2.
Anybody matching 4-2? 4-2?
I had 4-2.
I had 4 too.
Anybody else has any other combinations?
I did 2-4.
I did 2-4 also.
2, 4.
I did 3-2.
Okay, let's see. 2, 4, 4, 2.
I did 6-4.
6. No, not 6. I would not be going to 6. 2, 4, 4, 2. Let's see. It's kind of close. I would have picked 4-2, but it's pretty close. 2-4 is not wrong. So let's pick 4-2 as our in the order we are going to write it down. So 5-1, 4-2. 2-4 is pretty close, by the way. Okay, now we are left with 6 and what? 6 and 3, right? So what do you prefer? 6-3, 3-6.
3-6.
3-6. Okay. So 5-1, 4-2, 3-6. So you can see if you didn't know our strategies, you would have started with 1, 2, 3, right? Where 2 and 3 are almost at the end of the passage, right? 1, no, okay, not too bad, not too bad. Good start, but then you may be stuck with 2 and 3. So you have to think like that. If you had 5 more minutes extra in the real test, these strategies won't make any difference at the time because it will be the same. It's the 5 minutes that makes all the difference, and that's why you want to get to that quick. So go ahead and write down 5-1, 4-2, 3-6. Okay. Again, there's no right wrong answers, by the way. No right wrong answers. Okay. We are just making a judgment. Open page 366. All right, now let's get more realistic as a test, okay? because now you're gonna get that feel of the pressure of the test. So when I say the time starts, like a supervisor will say in the real test, you cannot take 60 seconds. That's a lot of time, okay? Our students who have done this practice a long time, they get to that 20, 25, 30 seconds, they will have the first two done, okay? So I'm gonna give you guys 40 seconds to select the first two. Just the two. Your time starts now. 40 seconds. Forty seconds. Of course, as you can see, the time goes really, really, really fast. Just to save on time, let's somebody say the order, and then we'll see what others have done. Victoria, you wanna?
1-6.
1-6.
6-1.
I agree.
I
1-6.
6
I had 1-6.
6-1.
You know,
6 and 1.
within like 5 minutes, we have already went from here to almost here, right? I know you said 1-6 or 6-1. I just want to be a little bit more critical of what the right passage would be, okay? No, remind you guys there's no right, wrong answers, okay? Wow, it's pretty close. I would do 1-6. Pretty close though. Pretty close. The only reason is 6 has a table, small table, compared to passage 1 does not have any table. Passage 1 is a little bit longer than passage 6 is, so it's like, see, that's where the common sense to judgment comes into picture. It is so damn important to get this right. The minute you start undermining this, you'll be so flustered under the stress you'll be in that day. You have to have a clear mind. All these competitive tests, you got to have clear mind and a calm mind. You with me on this? So if you're flustered, it's just gonna spiral down very fast. It's a slippery slope. I'm gonna give you guys 20 seconds to select the next two. Only 20 seconds. Your time starts now. Twenty seconds. Gosh, this fly. Somebody online, tell me what is the two you're gonna pick. You picked.
I chose 2-4. I agree.
Sorry, what did you say?
4-2.
2-4.
2-4. Okay.
I said 4-3.
Same.
4-3. Remember, 3 is your conflicting viewpoint. That should be done last. No tables, no pictures, nothing.
So even though it has really very little reading, those ones are still the last ones you want to do.
Exactly. That's a trap. We don't know the passage, by the way, Tessa, right? It may be easy. It may be like, oh, I picked the right one. You don't know that. You still, when you have the scientist 1, 2, and 3, that's what I see here in the passage. The minute I see that, I know that I don't want to take any chance. I'll tell you one of the things, and I'm glad this discussion happens. I like when we fail, because that's where you learn the most. So what happens with these conflicting view passages, you almost have to know the entirety of the passage to answer majority of the questions. So in other passages, what will happen is, according to figure 1, boom, you know where the answer is. But these passages, where you almost have to have a global understanding of the passage to answer many of the questions. So it might be small, can still be deceptive. Make sense, Tessa?
Yes, that makes sense.
So we decided what? So let's see. What did he say? 2-4 or 4-2, right? My gut feeling says 4-2. My heart says 2-4. My mind is confused. It's pretty close. Sorry?
I have another question.
Please.
So, for like the passage 3, how it has the different scientist views, is that different? Because like there's different study 1, study 2. So is that different since there's graphs in there?
Yes.
Okay.
Because you can get to the answer quicker.
Okay.
Because a scientist 1, 2, 3 can be the same concept in each passage, but one may have a tabular information, one have a graphical information, one has no, visual representation. It's the how long does it get to take to an answer is what we are deciding right now.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Glad this is so important. I get really annoyed when people don't ask because all the experience I've had I can share when it only can be shared when you trigger a question. Okay, so I'm gonna go with 4-2. Okay, so we're gonna do 1-6-4-2, but these are very close. Okay, they're not far at all. So now we're gonna go with what? What's we're left with now? We're left with 3 and 5, right? So it'll be 5-3. It'll be 5-3. Stick to this strategy. Don't get flustered. Don't get confused by 1 or 2 tests. The students who have a clear mind is what you're gonna do well. And I can't emphasize enough this. Okay, gotta have a clear mind. And that's clear mind will only happen is when you practice the same thing again and again and again, right? So I remember Usain Bolt making this comment after he won the world record 100 meters. He said, it took me 4 years of intensive practice for 9.58 seconds, he said. Because he did the same thing again and again and again. He had a calm mind. Okay. All right, let's go to the next test. That's what we are practicing today is a selection of passages. That's all we are doing right now. Because if you get this right, it's 60% of the work, okay? Page number 504. Now we're gonna do a little bit different this time, okay? What we're gonna do is, I'm gonna give you guys 40, 20, and 10. So you basically have 70 seconds, but you individually will be writing the entire order from 1 to 6. It may be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or whatever it is. But 70 seconds, you get the whole order done. You with me on this? And then we'll discuss from each other, okay? So you have 70 seconds, and by the time this semester gets done, you'll be around 50 seconds for this, okay? Your time starts now. All the passages in the order, all 6. Time's up. 70 seconds. All right, let me pick Anaika. I'm just gonna pick random people here. I would like you to tell me your order slowly so I can hear you well.
Okay, I had 1, 3, 2, 4, 6, 5.
All right. Tessa.
I had 321465.
Victoria?
13246.
1313.
24.
Okay.
And then 65.
How many had 5 at as the last passage? Just do the thumbs up online, and here you can just raise your hands. Okay. 5, the last one. Okay, quite a bit. Okay. All right. How many had 1 at the starting one? Okay. So 1 and the 5 were okay. All right. What was your after 1? What you had 3?
3.
Could you explain me your thought process between 3 and 4? Help me out. I'm not again. It's not about right wrong. I just want to know what are you thinking? What is your thought process?
It just looks neater and more easier to understand.
So let's go with our basics here. Reading, right? First. So 3 has and 5 has, 3 and 4 has. Which one has more reading according to you? Reading.
3.
3, a little bit, right? Graphs. 3 has a little bit more graphs, right? Tables, no tables, right? Okay. Okay. I was debating between 3 and 4, by the way. So I would have done, by the way, if I had nobody to verify, it would be 1, 4, 3, 2, 6, 5. That's what I would have done. And I don't want to change your order, by the way. For this test, it's all you, okay? Because there won't be anybody else to correct you. Are you guys with me on this? So if we keep honing on this one, practicing on this one, I anticipate at least 3 out of our 5 students will be getting the first 2 or 3 correct. The last 3 becomes tricky. The first 3 are important. Yes?
I just want to know what would be your comparison between like what would you put 3 and 2 before 6? Is it because of the tables?
Yep.
Okay.
Tables, bigger tables, right? Size matters,
tables, yeah.
right? Yeah, it can be very deceptive. Size really matters in tables. I remember one time, again, see, one question leads, so I have 10 more things, right? So I remember one time in ACT, there was a passage number 2 in science, okay? Had only one statement in reading, only one line. Here is the following information about birds. I still remember that. It was about birds. And they had given 2 tables. But it was giant, big tables, okay? And almost all my students picked that one. And I was like, oh, you guys made that blunder, you got trapped. Because the tables had so many statements in it, is as if the reading passage was converted into a table. But they all got stuck and they did really bad in that passage too. And what happened? That lack of confidence drained into other ones as well, where they started making silly mistakes. So you gotta be watchful about tables. You gotta be very watchful. Not that they're bad, but there are easier options. I'll see you guys next week. Hang in here. Aubrey will be here for math, especially majority of our juniors we have here, juniors and seniors. I've seen you guys, your geometry is a little weak. So Aubrey will be here dealing with some high difficulty basic geometry. Okay? See you next week. Bye bye, guys.
Thank you. Thank you.